How's everyone doing tonight? We're up to, what is it, day 16 of the Ugears Dream Cabriolet. And we're up to page 35 in the book. I'll get started on that in just a minute. I've also got this box of questions. Might come in handy if we get some stretches where we're like playing with toothpicks and rubber bands for a little while. Yep, there we go. Also handy for holding on to this tool. This new tool, it's like gets lost in that black surface, but if I keep it on this box, then I can find it. So here's what the car looks like. Actually, this piece is just sitting there. That doesn't go there. It just hasn't been attached yet, so it's just sitting there. It looks pretty good, but it's looked like this for a while. We need to like somehow make some progress tonight. Though I don't know if I can. I'm like, gotta get up. I had to get up before 7 this morning, and I gotta get up before 7 tomorrow morning. I don't know how it is that I can't catch a break, even on a weekend, but I can't lately. So I gotta get up early tomorrow, which means I can't go late tonight. At least not too late. I can go, a little bit. Not too much. So there's a bunch of toothpicks and rubber bands in that box. And there's a bunch of pieces in these boards. So where have I been keeping these boards? I feel like they get too much on the camera when I put them here, but at the same time, it's a good spot. The problem with putting them here is when I use this camera, like sometimes it focuses on these boards. Like for example, right now, it's like focused on those boards. But when I have this here, I need it to be focused here. And it's not like a guarantee that the camera's going to do that. Yeah, it's like not right now. So I can't keep the boards there. I got to keep them over here, I think. All right, there we go. Now the camera knows what to focus on. It has autofocus. I'm planning to watch some videos on how to set focus on cameras, how to set exposure on cameras. I'm going to start learning about cameras because I don't know anything about cameras currently, which is kind of interesting because I'm 240 episodes into this podcast, but I originally was doing it with an iPhone, and then I was doing it with an iPad, and I'm probably not even a month into using actual cameras. And most of this month, I've been learning how to work the microphone and the YOLO box and to do the lighting. So I still haven't dove into how to use cameras yet, but I will soon enough. All right. So page 34. We did yesterday, so that means we're on page 35. Page 35 is working from board 4. So this is board 5. Is this board 4? This is board 4. So we're going to be working from board 4. But the first thing they want is to cut 2 toothpicks in half, and more importantly, more even than that, to cut 6 segments of toothpick to this 2Z size. 2Z. So let's start cutting toothpicks. I think I'm going to run out of toothpicks at some point. I mean, I haven't been cutting more than they've been asking me to, but they've been asking for a ton of toothpicks to be cut, and I'm wondering if they're going to last here. Like right now, like how many toothpicks do we need right now? We need to cut 2 in half, and then we need to get 8 sections of 2Z. So maybe this is 4 toothpicks. I'm not really sure. Let's try it. Anyway, it's definitely 8 pieces. So let's update our piece counter to 362. All right, 362. All right, so let's get to cutting. So the easy ones will be these two that got to cut in half. Where did it go? Oh, I went to fold the plastic off the top, and instead of the plastic folding off the top, it pushed the toothpick into the bottom. All right, let's cut these two in half. Sounds easy enough, right? Hold it by both sides, snip it in the middle. All right, well, I'm cutting toothpicks. I guess we're going to have to start answering some questions. Although, let me make up my own question because I don't know if you even can see this. I'm going to switch just to purely. Do I even have it? Where is it? Yeah, okay. So here's HDMI 2. So, I hit the wrong camera. All right, so this camera. I don't know if you can see my computer screen. It's a little bit off camera, so I'll just describe it for you. I was listening to a podcast that had to do with so-called Nephilim. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Basically, giant DNA. It was like we went to Iraq in 2003, and we went right after this Gilgamesh tomb was found, like under the Euphrates River. And supposedly there was like, a mummified body there that you could potentially get DNA from. So that brings us, by the way, this was in 2003. So if anything happened with that DNA, it probably already happened. So anyway, the ethical question was going to be, because they were discussing this on the podcast as well, is what would you do with that DNA? Would you make a clone? Like, how would you study it? Would you try to sample it using CRISPR? All right, let me just mention that. Okay, so I cut the two toothpicks in half, so I got 4 halves. And I got 2 more toothpicks, and I'm just going to cut out 6 sections of 2Z. So while I'm doing that, we can talk about these Nephilim. So what would you do? What would you do if you found Gilgamesh's DNA? Now, my first thought on that was, are they really so confident that there's anything useful in Gilgamesh's DNA? Like, Yao Ming is 7'6", but that's not a guarantee that there's anything in his DNA that says 7'6". Maybe there is. I don't know. I think height is not something that's fully understood. There seems to be a genetic component, but I think there's also a lot of nutrition, stress, what type of exercise you do. I think there's a lot that goes into height besides genetics. But there are also, there's obviously some genetics that goes into it. So if this, for example, if this Gilgamesh was 10 feet tall, which I don't know. Actually, in the podcast I was listening to, like, one of the people was like asking the other one, like, how tall were they? And the person never got around to answering that question. Because that was, basically they showed this tomb of Gilgamesh, and he was wearing a crown, so I guess that made the guy Gilgamesh, but he was pretty skinny. So if you were 10 feet tall, you probably would appear kind of like wiry in proportion. Like if you see that movie Avatar, actually there's some like TikTok videos of people, they stand in front, of the Avatar character, because the Avatar character is 10 feet tall, so the characters in Avatar, they look kind of skinny because they're like 10 feet tall. Now, they might be thicker than Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime, but they appear skinny because they're 10 feet tall. So the proportion seems skinny, but they're actually massive. Like, those skinny Avatar characters, I mean, I don't even know how much they weigh. I'm just going to guess like 600 pounds. And this is like, apologies, I don't know where my voice is going today. And you can see this just even just around you. Like my son is taller than me, and he looks like he's pretty skinny, and he weighs 210. So that's just at like whatever he is, like 6'4"-ish or something like that. So imagine if you're 10 feet tall. I mean, maybe don't imagine it. It's kind of a scary thing to think about. But the avatars, let's just talk about the avatars. 10 feet tall. Again, I don't know. I'm just going to throw out there 600 pounds, but it's not like something you can see. You probably could figure it out if I had a calculator and some time to think. You know, maybe it's like 10 pounds per inch or something like that. If it was 10 pounds per inch, let me just see. All right, so I'm just going to go to Google here. That's right? Why can't I get to a new tab? Yeah, Google. So 4 feet taller than average, so that's like 48. I don't know why I'm going here. It's 48 inches, and I said 10 pounds per inch. There's no math to do here. I mean, 48 times 10 is 480. So I don't know what I'm even doing here. Let me just, you know what? I can't even find the multiplication sign. So 48 times 10 is 480. We knew that, right? All right, but at least now we can add that 480 to, let's say, 200 pounds, which again, we know the answer is going to be 680, but I'll just put it in the calculator. So 480 plus 200 equals 680. So you're looking at someone who's 680, maybe 300, 680, maybe 700 pounds. So that's massive. And that's someone who looks skinny. The real, you know, and by the way, the Gilgamesh that they showed in the cave, he was skinny. But if there was like a fat Gilgamesh, you'd be looking at, I don't even know, at least 50% more, right? Or let's just call it 50% more. So, what was it, 680? So you'd add 340. So you'd be about 1,020 pounds. 1,020 pounds. You know, the shack of Gilgameshes would weigh 1,020 pounds. That's crazy. I'm not even sure if that's even efficient. It's like dinosaurs grew really big when they lived in a time when there wasn't much like competition. Not that there wasn't competition. There was abundance of things for them to eat, right? Dinosaurs. They could eat whatever they wanted. They could breathe as much like oxygenated air as they wanted. They could drink as much fresh water as they wanted. The earth was like theirs, and they got really big. All right, I'm going to increment the counter by 1. That puts us at 363, and then I'm going to put the 4 toothpicks into these 4 pieces here. All right, so before we even talk about the ethics, is it even a good idea? It's not a good idea. We don't live in a time where people can afford to be 10 feet tall and 1,000 pounds. Because if we did live in that time, they would be. You're going to end up with a project. I mean, I hate to refer to a person as a project, but how are you going to feed this reincarnated Gilgamesh? And plus, is it your right to reincarnate someone? It almost seems like something that would draw the ire of God if you assume that there is such a person. I don't think you can just be, reincarnating someone else. I don't think someone else's DNA is that person. I mean, obviously, identical twins are different people. They have different thoughts. But it's still weird. It's still like, I think someone would object to it. Like, you can't just go around reincarnating people without their permission. That toothpick went flying, and I see where it went. Let me see if I can show you on this camera. Yeah, there it is. Do you see that little dot back there? That's the toothpick. You think I can get it out without dropping it? I probably can't, but let's give it a shot. I'm going in with the needle nose pliers. I got it. All right, I got the toothpick. So the reason why I thought I wouldn't be able to do that is because this background is just like cloth. So I thought for sure that when I touched it, I wouldn't grab it at the same moment that I touched it and it would slide down the back, which has happened on other episodes, but in this case, we got it. All right, I'm going to try to start all 4 this time before I go to push him in, because then I could push him in with a big board that covers all 4, and maybe they won't go flying, or maybe only one of the 4 will go flying. Let's see what happens. There's no real reason to twist them. I just found that they go in when you twist them. For some reason, that makes them go in. They're not screws, they're not threaded, but something about the twisting action gets them in there. Not this one. It worked with the first 2. I think this one is splintering a little bit. So when we do go to push it in, it's either going to splinter a lot or it's going to pop out. But I'm willing to give it a shot. So let's see. Let's see where that goes. Ooh, can't get this one in. All right, so then now the ethical question. Well, I guess the logistical question is that he's just too big, and I say no. And then the ethical question is you're reusing someone's DNA. And that doesn't seem, on scientific terms, like it should be a problem. But it's like every person has their unique DNA. I guess that's not like, do identical twins have identical DNA, or is there some different? It's supposed to be identical, right? Well, I don't know. I don't have a good reason. I just have a gut feeling that you're not supposed to bring someone else's like DNA back to life. There's something about that seems like you're not supposed to do it. But though I must admit, I can't really say why you shouldn't do it. What if, and this is crazy, but what if your DNA is part of your electronic existence? For example, there have been studies that have shown not all your brain information, not all your personal information is stored in your brain, which means that information is stored in other places, in electromagnetic matrices, and maybe one of the signatures to that is to how you lay that information as your memory, as your DNA. And if you create someone with the same DNA, then they have access to those other persons' like information. I don't know what I'm saying right now. It's like theoretical, but maybe. All right. So we got this board. This is 151. Ugears on it is spelled backwards. That's the way they wanted the toothpicks to go in. Now we got to add these half-C toothpicks. They're going to stick out. They show them in the instructions, just to show you the instructions. They show them being put in this way, but I know from experience that they're going to go easier this way. So I'm just going to start them both from the back, and then I'm going to push them against this board until they're flush. The only thing dangerous about this is you don't want to be like close to the end that they're going to be shooting out of, because you can get stabbed. So be careful not to stab yourself with a toothpick. But anyway, I think this is the way to get them flush. You're actually pushing them in further, but you're starting with that like tip that easily goes into the hole. Like if you start with putting the thick part of the toothpick into the hole, you can end up splintering the toothpick. But if you put the thin side in first, yes, it's a little annoying to push it in, but you know you're not going to break the toothpick. Does that toothpick look bent? And was it always bent? I know they can sometimes come out of the box and already be bent, but I didn't notice if that one was. All right, now we need 2 pieces that are called 152. So they're like these little knot pieces, and they're called 152. That brings us to 365 pieces. The 152s, I believe we said we're going to come from board 4, but I don't see them in board 4. Oh, there they are. Well, which ones are they? There's like a few possibilities here. 152, 158. I think these all 4 are 152s. They look like Among Us characters, by the way. The 152s. All right, let's see. All right, so I don't have anything more than a gut feeling. I'll let you know if I think of another reason not to, like, reincarnate people. I mean, it just seems so obvious that you shouldn't do it, but, you know, I don't know off the top of my head what are the real reasons why you shouldn't do it. I'm going to look into it. Chat, feel free to contribute. But I'm going to go with one of these other cards for now. Maybe won't be so crazy. Which is faster, a cheetah, a sailfish, or a falcon? I think cheetah is 70 miles an hour, right? All right, by the way, these 2 152s, they're going to go in these 2 squares here. So cheetah is 70 miles an hour. There's no way a falcon does 70 miles an hour, or does it? Maybe it can if it's kind of like moving downward. I guess you're going for the top speed, like maybe it's gliding downward rather than like upward. Oh, by the way, this piece, the line in the middle of the piece. So there's like line there. I don't know if you can make that out. See the little line there? The line goes in the midway. Like not this way, but this way. The line goes this way. That's how it goes in there. If you do it the other way, it's probably going to be some issue. Another way to think of that is the circle. You can access it vertically. So actually, I'm having second thoughts about the falcon. Because flying, like gliding downward, you know, going on a downward curve, you've got to at least be able to work with the falling speeds, right? The 9.8 seconds per meter squared. I mean, I know it's not falling like a stone. I know that it's like gliding on its wings. But also, I just feel like if you can reach that velocity by falling, I don't know if you can get to the same one by gliding. I feel like I should know that off the top of my head. But let's say you can get over 70 miles an hour. So I think the cheetah is out and the falcon is in the lead. And now we've got the oarfish. I guess that's there because that's a fast fish. I don't know anything about an oarfish. I couldn't tell you how fast it is. But I can tell you that moving through water, there's resistance. Water has pressure to it, and you've got to move through that pressure. Like imagine if you're, okay, did you ever see those videos where they shoot into the dummy that simulates shooting into a body? It has like, it looks like it's made of jelly or something like that. And it like kind of, sometimes the bullet goes through, sometimes it stops. So that jelly is pretty thick. Water is not that thick, but water will also eventually stop it, stop anything. Like you have to keep adding, like, I mean, there's air pressure too. I guess if the wind is against the eagle, it could be a problem. And maybe if the current is with the oarfish, it can help. But if you're just talking about the maximums, then I think the oarfish needs to move through water. The cheetah needs to constantly overcome gravity and propel from the ground, whereas the falcon can glide using gravity assist. I just think that even though the falcon probably has the least muscle, I can imagine conditions where it could attain the most speed. There's also the principle of an object in motion tend to staying in motion, and an object at rest tend to staying at rest. And I think that works in the cheetah's favor. It's kind of heavy. It's kind of low to the ground. It's constantly moving like 4 limbs. And I think that it can achieve, I mean, obviously we know it's like 70 mile an hour speed that it can achieve. But it's like kind of like a bowling ball at some point. It's not like a bowling ball. It's got legs. But if you can imagine a bowling ball, you just sort of roll it and it keeps going. And it seems like it maintains its speed pretty good. Well, the cheetah is going to do it even better because it's like striking the ground. Anyway, got those in. Let's take a look at the answer. All right. So, a falcon. The peregrine falcon can reach speeds of over 200 miles per hour. Wow, that's crazy. Making it the fastest animal on the planet. Surprisingly, a sailfish can go 68 miles per hour, while the land-based cheetah comes in at 61 miles per hour. Being fast on your feet isn't so fast after all. So I'm surprised that the fish is faster than the cat. I'll have to look into a sailfish. I mean, that sounds cool. Right after this stream, I'm going to watch a video on it. Or should we watch a video together? I want to test and see if the sound will come through. Because last time I was doing a stream, I played a video, not last time. The last time that I played a video, the sound didn't come through. Actually, it was a video game. All right, so I think I have to bring in HDMI 2. All right, you're not going to hear anything yet. I'm going to go to Google, and I'm going to search for a sailfish. That's what they said that fish was called, right? A sailfish. Where's the freaking back button? Oh, here it is. Okay. All right, sailfish. They called it a sailfish, right? All right, so that's not a sailfish. That's a swordfish. Sailfish, swim, speed. I don't know, 68 miles an hour. All right, so that's the same thing the card said. Now let's go to a video. This is the fastest fish on the planet, sailfish. All right, let's play a couple seconds of that. You're seeing it in full screen. That's interesting because my iPad is not showing full screen. It's not showing anything here. Is it? It's showing like a penguin. What is going on here? I want to see this sailfish. All right, we're gonna get like copyright strike, and they didn't even show the sailfish swim. All right, that was a big fail. Hopefully, I just turned off the audio. This thing is not doing any 68 miles an hour. I'll research this later. I'm not going to take your time with it now. But that thing was not doing any 68 miles an hour. I'll tell you that right now. All right. Now what? We got some cross pollination here. Do you see this? The scoreboard is showing up on the iPad, but it's behind, and it's saying your current live stream. What is going on? Oh, I launched YouTube while... That was bad. I launched YouTube while I was live streaming, so I don't know what craziness went on when I did that. but I'm going to have to review that later. That's probably something I don't want to do again. So yeah, don't launch YouTube within a YouTube stream. That's a bad idea. It's probably like Venkman and the crossing the streams and the Ghostbusters. All right. So enough of that. So here's this little thing that we built. Let's see what's next. All right. Now, they want a couple of things at once here. They want this thing that we just built to connect to this thing that we built yesterday. This camera always loses its zoom. I think it loses its zoom when it's not like plugged in. That's the zoom camera. Here's the regular camera. All right, so they're going to get combined, these things. But the first thing they want, they're going to get attached. But the first thing they want is a toothpick going through here. I don't know why. Toothpick going through here. That's the first instruction. So we're not adding any pieces. We're just putting together some existing pieces. All right, let's get the toothpick in there. Don't have a good grip with the needle nose pliers. Don't seem to be getting the job done with this piece. I'll switch to another piece if this one won't go in. Sometimes they don't. You know, maybe when I clipped it, I like bent it a little bit and now it's not the right shape to go in. Let's just try another one. All right. That one didn't go in either. Maybe the hole is just too tight. All right, I'm going to try with my fingers. Oh, you know what? That secret we learned yesterday. Put it through the tool first. And then line it up with the hole. And then just push it in. I forget how we discovered that yesterday, but I remember it was working pretty good. Yeah, there you go. Line it. Use this tool. That's how you get toothpicks started. Slide them through that hole, line it up, and then push it through. I can't really say why that works. I can say that it does work. All right, now we're going to take this facing this way. A piece fell off, by the way. Let's get that piece back on before we snap this all together. So piece 46 fell off. So that goes back on like this, I think. Well, something else just fell off. Oh, it's the piece that we broke yesterday. Yeah. That's going to be an issue. All right, there we go. I think that's pretty much lined up, but that's a broken piece, so it's definitely going to be an issue. The good news is it's about to get threaded by this piece. So it's going to stay in place after those toothpicks go through it. So it's not going to be broken for much longer, but it is broken right now. All right, so this direction, that's how we got to hold this one. And then this is going to go through there. I'm not sure exactly how yet, but I know that these 4 toothpicks are going to go through those 4 holes. That's the only thing I can really say right now. But from that, we'll figure everything else out. All right. That's not easy, by the way. I think what I'm going to do is thread this one first. Just got to really make sure we don't screw up the orientation. I think it's like this. The reason why I'm putting that on first is it keeps, when I try to put the whole thing together, it keeps pushing off. So if I put it on, because it's broken, so it gets pushed around, but if I push it on first, then it should kind of stay in place. but it's going to be now tricky to get the angle to have this already on. But that's what we're going to do. Is it the best way to go? I don't know. And no one knows, because we broke a piece, and once you break a piece, you're sort of on your own to figure out what's the best way to work with that broken piece. Did we put this on the wrong side? I think we did. It's supposed to go on the other side. And I also see this fell off again. Okay. All right, let's just double check here. Okay, like this. It's the piece, yeah. No. No, that was not the wrong side. That's the correct side. All right. I don't know why I thought that was wrong. Probably because this doesn't seem to fit. Okay, one more time. Yeah. Yeah, this is crazy. This piece is supposed to be at the back of this piece, but it's not. Why is it not? Wow. All right. We're just going to try. We're just going to try to get this on. I don't quite understand what's the issue here, but something's very not right. Like, this is supposed to be accessible, and it's not, because this piece goes back further than it, which is making me question this entire build. So I'm looking back and forth to the instructions, trying to figure out if this is even right so far. If we were putting it on this side, it would be accessible, but we're putting it on this side, which means that this piece is in the way. But why is that so? Because we're literally attaching this piece to this piece. So it's not like something's in the wrong way. It's attached to that piece. That's the only piece. Like, I don't know what to do. Maybe just push it in further. It looks like it's already pushed in pretty far. Like, yeah, I guess it has some play in it, and you could kind of do that. All right, let's try that. All right, we'll try again. It's definitely tough to line up the toothpicks and deal with that ton of play in that piece at the same time. Okay. Oh, I felt the toothpick come back out the other side. Both of them did. That's no good. Let's get those back in. All right, here's one of those we're stuck pieces. So let's grab a card. Which is more sensitive, your fingertips or your tongue? Well, it's got to be your tongue, right? I mean, you taste with your tongue. You don't do anything that precise with your fingertips. Your fingertips, you like pound on piano keys and things like that. So it's got to be the tongue, but let's try to figure out more reasons, because, I mean, obviously the tongue has taste buds. You can taste, like, you can kind of taste a lemon with your fingers. There's definitely some, like, acid burn. I mean, if you've got, like, a cut on your fingers and you touch citrus, you'll notice it. But I think on a tongue, you'll have a much stronger reaction to citrus. But is that what they mean? I feel like it's not a fair test if you factor in taste buds. they're probably talking about only the touch sensitivity, but I still think that the even if you only deal with the touch, I think it's still in the favor of the tongue. I just think it's more. The example that's coming to mind is perhaps not the most appropriate answer, but for example, people kiss with tongues. I mean, that's like the definition of a French kiss, right? It's a kiss with tongues. So when you shake someone's hand, that obviously doesn't feel the same as a French kiss. I mean, obviously. So I think that that's an example of the tongues being more sensitive, but I feel like I want to give a more scientific reason to that, and it's probably something like the number of receptors on the tongue. Like if you look at, how about this one? The surface area. Now, both the tongue and the finger are not simple. The finger has fingerprints, and the tongue has, I don't know if these are called the taste buds or not entirely, but there's a lot of bumps on the tongue. So the lot of bumps creates more surface area. It also creates more input that goes to the brain, because you're feeling the object from multiple angles, because the little bumps can be touched, in all different directions. I don't think you can say the same as the fingerprints. They're very fine. If you're talking about the finger itself, it's much bigger than a bump on the tongue. So a lot of things are going to feel just, you're not going to be able to feel multiple directions with your fingers. You can only do that with your tongue or with something else. I mean, your ears can do that with sound. They have little hair in there, whatever you want to call it, cilia or whatever it's called. It's not called cilia when it's in an ear, but you know what I mean. It's kind of like that. So I think the tongue is going to be much more sensitive, even if you just go by surface area of the tongue, because the bumps create a lot more surface area, which creates a lot more opportunities for input. But it's not just that. There's also the nerves and the other type of signals that are there. The tongue also has muscle in it. I know that the finger also has muscle, but the tongue is not controlled by a bone with muscles attached to a ligament. It's, I guess eventually it is, but it's kind of free form. Can move around on its own a lot. So you factor the movement of the tongue and the receptors on the tongue. I don't know. I think I've created an overwhelming case that there's more. You can feel more with the tongue than with the finger. What I haven't done is got this piece of wood to attach to this other piece of wood. I feel like it's pretty close, but it's not there. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull the toothpicks out of this piece. I'm going to put them in this piece first. And I don't know if that's going to be good or bad, but that's what I'm going to try. But before I do that, let's read the answer to this question. Your fingertips for touch, your tongue for temperature. Fingertips are so sensitive that if the earth was reduced to the size of your hand, your fingertips could feel the difference between a house and a car. Gives a whole new meaning to the phrase being touchy. Your fingertips for touch. All right, so I was wrong. Fingertips apparently for touch. I don't know. I'm not going to disagree with it. Now that I think about it, I never try, like, for example, I'm working with this model with my fingers. I never tried to working with my tongue, so I'm not totally sold. I sort of want to see like a video on that and maybe try to understand it better, because I thought really that the tongue would be more sensitive. So I'm curious why it's not. All right. I'm going to switch these around, put them into the other piece first. I somehow think that's going to be easier to do, easier to get them lined up at least. It's like going from this side into that, I can't get them started. So I figure maybe if I start them in here, maybe then it'll be easier to go the other way. I'm not really sure, but we're going to try that. All right, I got one toothpick in. Let's get the other one started. I can't hold it straight. What's going on? All right, I got them both started. Time to try this again from the other direction. Doesn't help that this piece keeps falling out. That's not helpful at all. All right. I flip it around this way because I feel like I can see more what I'm doing. All right, there's the pieces. Yeah, I definitely feel like I can see them going in. One of them I see going in. Got to get the other one lined up. All right, they're both lined up. Let's make this happen. All right. Well, they're not. Only one of them is coming through the other side. I think we've still got issues with this piece getting in the way. This other piece getting in the way, yeah. It's definitely still causing problems. Why does it not have that problem on the other side? Is it because we broke the piece on the other side? Because that's not really a good reason. Yeah, I don't know what is going on with this piece. It's clearly in the way of us making this connection. Is this piece somehow on backwards? I don't get it. It's this piece. This piece is causing the problem. It's blocking us from getting close with this wood. And this one keeps falling out. I could put a piece of tape to hold it in, but that seems like cheating. All right. I pushed it in. You heard a huge like snap when I did it. I don't know if it was the good kind or the bad kind. I think it was it's like staying pretty good. I don't think it's a problem. One of those pieces is coming out. Is this the door to the, and that's the rear view mirror? No, the side view mirror. This might be the door. One of the doors. All right, finally done with that. All right, what's next here? Two 154s are going to attach with one of these tiny toothpicks and one of these like half-size toothpicks. And the pieces we're attaching are 153 and 154, which brings us to 367. So 153 and 154. All right. These pieces look like they have gears on them. They kind of look like these pieces. Well, it is those pieces. And there's going to be 2 more of them later. So definitely this is a door. And when we do the other door, we're going to need the other 2. Whoop, the whole thing popped out. Oh, well. There's 2 of them, and they both popped out. But I think maybe we can get to it tonight. I'm not sure. Maybe not. Oh, man. We didn't even finish one page yet, and we're already like at 50-minute mark. That's not good. We got to get some pages done. All right. Let's grease these gears and get them attached. There's still a 158 left there, so we can't throw that out yet. There's our piece of wax. Was kind of off screen for a second. All right. All right. Now, one gets the big toothpick, one gets the little one. They both go through this like hole at the top, not the hole by the gear. Got to make sure we're holding the right orientation as well. Well, not so much for the little one, but for the big one. You need to know which side the toothpick should stick out. By the way, this is that section of toothpick that we couldn't get in the other piece, so, you know, we might not be able to get it in here, but it looks like we got it, actually. Yeah, we got it. We got that one. All right. And then the other one gets this toothpick, and it's the same way. This bump goes on this side. All right, it's in. It's all the way in. I felt it hit my finger at the other side. All right, so what do we do with these? Oh, okay. They're actually going to connect through these circles using these existing toothpicks. I'm going to have to put tape on that if it keeps falling out. I think it's going to keep falling out. I need tape or glue to hold that on. Anyway, let's get these on. So the bumps both go this way. How did I manage to put this in wrong? Oh, I didn't. It's in right. Okay. All right. Whatever. I'm not putting that one back in anymore. I'll put it in at the very end when the door is in place and it has gravity on its side. For now, I'm working on this piece. All right, that's in. And then next to it goes this one. They're not really clear on showing us what the top should look like. I mean, they obviously rotate around each other. But which, you know? Like which gear are they supposed to be stuck at? Let's see when they're already in. Okay, I think my picture looks like their picture. What do you think? I think it looks right. This one is, yeah, there's like 2 squares in the middle. So I think it's correct. Now, they're saying caution. Okay, there's a caution. There's a line on these, and the lines are supposed to be sort of touching. And I'll tell you what, I don't see lines on them. But you also can just count. The first one here goes between the first 2 there. All right, so I looked really closely at these, and I don't know if you can see it, but those lines are there. The lines are there, but they're on the other side. So I don't know how I would get them to be set up that way. unless I have these on the wrong positions, which I think I do. Yeah, they're on the wrong positions. This one has like a 2 on it. It's very hard to see. But this one has a 2 on it, and it should go on the right. And the other one goes on the left. So the one with the 2 goes on the right. And the one with the 1, which is like impossible to see, but trust me, there's a Roman numeral 1 right there. And the other one has a Roman numeral 2 in the same spot. So they go, the 1 goes on the left and the 2 goes on the right. All right, now are those little marks lined up? Well, it's irrelevant because I can't get them in. All right, they're going in. And also there's notches at the top, and it's sitting in the notches. Now, are those little marks lined up? If this camera can focus on that. They're lined up. If you look right inside the toothpicks, to the right of the left toothpick and to the left of the right toothpick, you can see little marks on the gears, and they are lined up. So we're good. And that completes page 35. So we're on page 36 now. Page 36 says cut 2 toothpicks to the 2Z size, which is that smallest one. All right. What's the question while we're cutting toothpicks? You are 10 feet away from your date's front door. You're 10 feet away from your date's front door. You're nervous. You decide to take it slow and take a half step to the door every 10 seconds. How long, how long does it take for you to get in the door? Hold on. You're 10 feet away from your date's front door. You're nervous. You decide to take, all right, 10 feet away, half step. Well, I have to know how long your step is. So let's just say the step is 3 feet. So you're 10 feet away. That's 3 steps away. You're going to take a half step, 4 half steps, 6 feet, 2 more half steps, 9 feet. So it's like 6.5 steps. Forever, you would never get there as you are continually dividing the remaining distance at best. Best to just go for it. I'm sorry, did they say half step or half the distance? You take a halfway step. Okay. A halfway step. Okay, it's like half the distance to the goal line. All right, I missed that. The reading comprehension was off. I didn't realize they were saying halfway. I used to wonder about that in chemistry with the half-life. By the way, here's one of the pieces we're going to need. I don't know why it was already out. That's 368. And then we're going to cut the 2 toothpicks. That's 370. All right, let's cut the 2 sections of toothpick. I wanted that question to be something to chat about. Maybe let's go back to those Nephilims. So, what if they bring back that? Why do I feel like if they do bring back Gilgamesh's DNA, then they're going to act like they own him and treat him like a slave? I mean, I think if you recreate someone by their DNA, that person still has 100% human rights, and in which case they can't be like born a medical experiment. They got to be born to someone or adopted by someone, and they get to live a life. So, I mean, you can't really guarantee anything. Like, you might think you're going to bring back Gilgamesh, and he's going to be, I don't know, an important person And he might not want to be an important person. He might want to be, a surfer. And not that surfers aren't important people, but you know what I mean? He might not want to be a world leader. He might not want to be a professional athlete. He might not want to be an actor. He might be a 10-foot tall fry cook. I mean, you can't guarantee what Gilgamesh DNA redeployed on Earth wants to do with his life, and he certainly should have all the rights to do whatever he wants. You can't just bring someone back and make them, your medical experiment / slave / I don't know what. But just the fact that you would think about cloning someone, it's like, why would you do it? Unless you're thinking that you in some way own them. Maybe you're going to set up like a Truman Show type of environment and like study them. That's kind of maybe Jurassic Park is a better analogy than Truman Show. It's kind of what they were doing. Yeah, that's a weird question. I don't know why I decided to come back to that. That's a weird thing. All right, so we put the 2 toothpicks in this piece. And now this piece has to connect back to this door. But I'm not sure how it connects. They're saying to grease the toothpicks on this. Why would I need to grease the toothpicks? Especially because they stick out. I'll tell you, 2 toothpicks from this door go through this, but it's unclear which ones. Let's zoom in and take a look. I think it's the top ones. So, like the short one and the long one. By the way, we have to fix this. The long one is supposed to be in this one, and the short one is supposed to be in this one. It may not matter if they're both going to get clipped. Let's sort of look ahead. They're not getting clipped anytime soon. Yeah, let's switch them. I think the easiest way to switch them is to clip this one and replace this one. So let's do that. All right. Clip that one. And now let's pull this one out and replace it with this like half piece, which we have close by. There we go. Right here. Oh my goodness. It's flying all over the place. All right. All we got to do is put that in there and we're good to go. Of course, it's never as easy as you think it's going to be. You think it's going to be easy, and then it's not. The reason why I'm not pushing full force is I don't want to get impaled on these toothpicks here. All right, I think that's pretty much on. All right, so now we add this, the 2 top toothpicks. Oh, this is the window. This is the window from the door. So is it gonna like open this window? Like roll? Can you roll down the window? Yeah, you can. Do you see that? When you grab on these things, they roll down the window. So we're probably going to put some kind of handle on that. Like basically it's not like pinched in yet, but you can see how it works. That window is going to roll down using those little gears there. That's cool. All right, so we got a check mark. All right, now we're going to build sort of the interior of the door. So you're looking at the door guts right now. You can see those guts in there. Let's just do that. You can't see it from this angle. Maybe if I grab it with 2 toothpicks so my fingers don't block it. Let me just switch to the overhead. So when you pull on these, that window moves down. Doesn't look perfect yet. I think it will look better when we put the top of the door on, which is what we're about to do. So, like I was saying, those are the guts of the inside guts of the door. We're about to make the top half of the door. So we're going to add 3 pieces for that. 156, 157, and 158. Those are basically the inside, outside handles of the door. Is that what they are? Well, it's definitely the inside handle of the door. I'm not sure what the other piece is. But it's 3 pieces. So we're up to 373. So 156, 157, 158. So 156 is one of these huge pieces. It's this one. This huge piece is 156. And then 157 and 158. Where are those pieces? They're not on this, are they? No, that's it's going to be for the other side. All right, looking for a door handle. Here it is, 158. And where's 150? And 157 is this little tab. We're going to need them again when we do the other side door. We're going to need more copies of those pieces, but I'm just punch out one for now, so I don't have to remember which piece is which. That's one thing, one advantage to not popping them out. They say what piece they are, you know. All right, so ink side, we usually say ink side out, but in this case out is in because it's the interior of the door. So it's going to point in, but that's going to be the visible side. So it is kind of out. It's kind of out, it's kind of in. It's whatever you want to think of it as. All right, let's get the door handle in there. It's not fully in. I don't know if you can see that. It's a little bit out. All right. Come on. Got it. All right, now this piece. Where does this go? It's not clear to me from this picture. What do you think? Where's that going? Where's that? Oh, you can see where it's coming out. All right, it's coming out here. So that means it goes in there. All right. This little block here is where it's going to come out. So it has to go in here. And I see receivers for toothpicks. I see a slider for the door handle to roll down the window, I should say. Yeah, I can see how this is all going to come together. Come on. Get in there. Didn't go in. Try again. All right. Needle nose pliers? No. Let's try to get it in there with this thing. All right, this, and then no. We'll use this other door to push it in. Not door. Well, it is part of the door. Wow, this piece doesn't want to go in. It's getting closer. Oh man, I almost broke this other door. You see that line there? It's really just an ink line, but it's not ink. They press in on it, and as a result, it's a little bit weaker. And if you push on it, you can lose it. I'm just going to leave this. It didn't go all the way in, but I don't think it's a piece that's going to affect the build if it doesn't go all the way in. So I'll maybe give it one more try, and then if it doesn't go in, I'm just going to leave it there. All right, come on. There we go. It's in. Finally. All right, now. Wow, look at all these connectors. That is a lot of connectors. So, there's not that many connectors here. Oh, yeah, there kind of are. There's there's 4 squares and 3 toothpicks. 7 connection. Are there 7 connection lines in this graphic? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 connection lines. Are there 8 connectors here? Oh, no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then probably this also gets something. And this gets something. Wow. There's a lot going on. All right. Excuse me. I think if we just get it lined up, maybe this corner piece to this, then everything else will kind of fall into place. I think. I'm not really sure. And plus, I'm not sure how to get this lined up when I've got these long toothpicks that it obviously has to go over. This curved one. Oh, okay, I got it. These 2 in the middle, they're definitely going there. And then this long one is going in the curved one. So let's do that. Let's start there. All right. Almost had it. The window, by the way, started sliding down. I think I got to pull that back up. I don't know if that really matters. I mean, there is a sliding piece there, but... And by the way, one of these 2 toothpicks in the middle is crooked, which is not going to help with trying to do 9 connections at once. Excuse me. Grab a glass of water. Something about that sneeze from a minute ago, made my throat scratch. Needed some water. Too much information, right? Sorry. All right. Yeah. Not easy to get these toothpicks in. They're like dancing on the surface rather than going in. And this window keeps sliding down. Come on. I mean, it's supposed to be a window that you can roll down. I think this toothpick moves it down, but it's just annoying when you're trying to make, as we've mentioned several times now, trying to make 9 connections at once. You don't feel like dealing with that. The window sliding. Yes, it's a cool feature when it's done, but when you're trying to get everything lined up, it's just one more thing to deal with. Like the window sliding around while you're trying to get, all these connections made. And while you're doing that, this window's like falling open. Wow, sorry, I was blocking the view. All right, let's get that in there. 2 more connectors here. Wow. Those are kind of tricky ones. I don't know where to support them. They're also not seeming to be lined up, which I think goes along with what we've been observing for a while now, is the angle on these pieces here isn't good. Well, these are the 2 that are stopping us right now. These 2 right here. They're not going in, and they need to. Okay. This one's a little bit off to the side. All right. How about now? Does that look good? All right. I might go off camera for a minute. I got to get these, like, take off my glasses and get these pieces close to my eyes and see what the heck is going on here. There we go. Got one of them in. The other one is still a little bit off. Come on. This piece seems like it's not going to fit in there. Like it's like not the right size or something. Maybe I should have sanded it and greased it. I always can pull this off and reset it. I also don't like working right next to my eyes with my glasses off. It's like, you know, especially with all these toothpicks, not a great idea. All right. Wow. Everything's like, you know, it's like you get one on and 2 come off when you're trying to do 9 connections at once, or however many we're trying to do. I'm losing track. Definitely I'm not going to be in the mood to do a second door after we finish this. Alright. A piece just fell out. And this piece is backing up rather than going in. I'm going to push it in even if it flakes. We got to get it in there. By flake, I mean a layer of the plywood comes off. I'm fine with that, just to get it in there. And we did just get it in there, but other pieces are coming off in the process. Look at this 32, it backed out. And there's definitely a piece fell on the floor a minute ago. Some of these other pieces backed out. Yeah, it's all the ones that we're going to connect to the door. The inside of the door. They're like backing out rather than going in. Which is, I can't explain that. I guess they're not lined up, but I can't see where they're not lined up. They look good to me. Alright, let's find the thing that fell on the floor. I see it. Sorry, pardon me. All right, what camera can I show you where you won't see that? Okay. All right. So the piece that was on the floor was 38. This here is 37. So 38 goes right next to that. I think some of these pieces got pushed out. Look at this piece. That clearly got pushed out. I don't know if I can get it back in or not. In order for it to go back in, it has to go through here, which I don't know. I don't know even how. I want to do it, but I don't know if I can, and I don't know what else I might break in the process. I think what I want to do right now is just test this window. Well, the window doesn't open. That's a shame. So this gear no longer moves. Why? Is it no longer lined up with the other gear? It looks lined up. I'm going to try to just move the gear rather than by the toothpick. Nope. Alright, let's try pushing the window down. You can see it right here. The guides are on. They're on there. Why does this window no longer move? It like moved before we pushed everything in. It was moving. Now it doesn't. Alright, some toothpicks backed out. Let's push those in. They are the mechanics to the door, to the glass. Right, this looks good to me. I don't know why it's not no longer opening. Alright, the window no longer opens. Something is not lined up. Alright, now it might open. Well, it moved for a second. There we go. There we go, okay. It's not great action right now. Maybe we needed to wax those gears a little bit more, but it is working. Let me see if I can get some wax in there. I'll put the wax first onto this piece and then try to transfer it into those gears. Do you think it'll just fit in there? It does actually just fit in there. All right, let me get some wax right on those gears. Let's try it again. A little smoother. Kind of still jamming though. Alright. I'm not sure what's going on with this window. It does. Okay, the more you do it, the more the wax probably gets distributed, and now it's locked again. I don't know. So it sticks a little bit, you know? You play with it and it works, and then it sticks. I don't know. It does work. It does work at some point. All right. We got to get, I think, okay, we have one more piece, 159. Yeah, that's that piece there. All right, so that gets it to 374. And then we just cut toothpicks. So the 159, actually, this toothpick we were playing with, testing the window, that's where the 159 goes. It goes on that toothpick. And then after it goes on that toothpick, then we clip some toothpicks, and then we're done with this page. I wanted to get further. I feel like I'm saying that every night. I keep thinking we're going to go quick, and we don't. This puzzle does not go quick for whatever reason. All right, so they want 2 toothpicks cut. No, sorry. They want 3 toothpicks, 3 toothpicks cut, and then they want us to test the window. So they want us to cut these 3 in the middle. There only are 3. All right, so we're going to cut them all. And And in that point, once we've cut them, we're done with 36. Page 36 is done. All right. So we're on page 37 now. We'll do that tomorrow. That's building the second door, and they want us to test. Ooh, it's kind of working. I don't know. I mean, it's not working like amazingly, but it's somewhat working. I mean, kind of jams, but it does technically work. Let's get one more view of that. Clear some of this crap out of the way. All right. Let's check out that window. Can we move that window? Yes, we can. I mean, you know, it's going to take some more wax, but it does work. Okay. So that was torture. We worked all night and only did 2 pages. All we did is finish the door. And the door is not perfect. It's missing a piece. It's bulging in a couple of spots. What can I tell you? Let's try to do better on the next door, which we'll do tomorrow. See you then.